Hi friends, welcome to my channel. My name is Denise. I'm so excited for today's video. The idea actually came to me because a friend asked me a question regarding carbohydrates and I thought, oh my goodness, that is such a great video idea because I'm sure there are so many people wondering the same thing. And it's actually pretty difficult getting this information online because, as we all know, society has labeled carbohydrates as evil. Am I right? Am I right? Am I right? Yes, I am right. So I just want you guys to go get your favorite drink. I'm drinking a freshly made green juice that I absolutely love. So go ahead and grab your favorite drink, whether that's like a coffee or whatever, and sit back and enjoy the video. Before we even talk about carbohydrates, we need to know where carbohydrates come from and what carbohydrates are. So carbohydrates come from sugars, starches, and fibers. And they come from plants and from milk. Milk has carbohydrates because of the sugar lactose. And fun fact, cheese actually is very low in carbohydrates. It's mainly made up of protein and fat, unless that cheese was processed. And if it's processed, that means that protein and whey were added to the cheese when it was processed. So if you want to know if your cheese is high in carbohydrates, just go ahead and read the nutrition label, and if the daily value is 5% or more, then that means it is high in carbohydrates and it was most likely processed. All carbohydrates are simply made up of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. It's bad to label food and food groups as bad because these negative labels actually lead to restrictive eating. And in turn, restrictive eating leads to binge eating and also forming anxiety and stress towards that particular food. I just want to say that carbohydrates are not bad. Carbohydrates come from plant sources, right? God created these plants that include fruits, vegetables, and whole grains. Additionally, carbohydrates are the body's preferred fuel source. And to give you a clear idea, if a pregnant mother restricts herself from carbohydrates, then the baby will not receive the adequate glucose that it needs. And if this happens, the baby can die. So carbohydrates are necessary in our diet, and a baby in the womb needing carbohydrates is a clear example of that. Carbohydrates are also not bad because plant sources are rich in vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants. So if we restrict our body from carbohydrates, then we are totally lacking in those nutrients. The real issue regarding carbohydrates is number one, the lack of self-control, number two, an unbalanced diet, and number three, large portion sizes. For example, one regular sized bagel is actually 4 servings of carbohydrates. Yes, too much of anything, whether that's carbohydrates or protein, will lead to weight gain. That's why having a balanced diet is so important. The best way to have a balanced diet without even thinking about it, without even being stressed, is by adopting the My Plate eating pattern. I talked about the My Plate eating pattern in the previous video, so I'll link that video in the description box below so you can go ahead and watch that video after you finish watching this video. But I will slightly mention it. So the My Plate eating pattern was created by the USDA, right? And it's meant to give us a pretty much like a strong foundation of how to arrange our meals, okay? So the My Plate eating pattern is a plate and it has a little cup of milk on like right next to the plate. And the plate is divided by protein, whole grains, vegetables, fruit, and then like I said, it has that little cup of milk. But if you can't have milk, whether that be because you don't like it or because you're allergic, have an intolerance, or sensitive to it, whatever that case may be, I highly recommend that you substitute milk for milk alternatives, such as almond milk or oat milk or whatever you prefer. Just make sure that it's fortified with calcium, because we get the majority of our calcium intake comes from dairy. So if you completely cut dairy out of the equation, then you are not getting the necessary calcium that you need. And right now, you may be at an age where you really don't feel the effects of little to no calcium in your diet. But let me tell you, if you're a woman and you reach menopause, you will start feeling the effects of little to no calcium in your diet, because your bones are going to start to be very fragile and they're going to hurt, or you won't be able to be on your feet for very long, or you increase your risk of getting a fracture, which is so sad. We do not want that, right? And if you're a man watching this video, then you won't feel the effects until about like 70 years of age. And it's going to hit you like a school bus hits you. You're going to feel the effects right away. Women, we feel it right around menopause, because estrogen actually keeps us from feeling the effects. But okay, anyway, we were talking. See, that's what happens to me. I just go on rants. That's why I needed to start a YouTube channel, because I just like want to talk about nutrition. Anyway, so the My Plate eating pattern is super helpful, because if you arrange your meals to look like the My Plate eating pattern, then you don't even have to think about like getting your calcium or getting your carbohydrates or getting your protein or getting your fat. You don't even have to think about it. Just think to yourself like, oh, okay, yeah, my plate has to have some protein and it has to have some fruits and some vegetables and some whole grains, but not too much, right? Like if the majority of our plate is pasta, okay, that's way too much. And this will actually help you eat a balanced diet, which is amazing. I adopted that for myself, and it has helped me so much. The next thing I want to talk about is processed and unprocessed carbohydrates. This is when we get to talking about good or bad carbs. And you're gonna make that decision for yourself, because me, myself, like I don't mind eating some cereal, okay? I don't mind eating apples or pretzels. Like, I don't mind eating this stuff, but I'm also not living off of this stuff, okay? I'm having a balanced diet. I'm eating all types of food. My plate has different nutrients. And to give you an idea, here we have corn. It's just frozen corn. It really isn't processed at all, because it was just cut right from the husk. And here we have these choco chimps. I love these, okay? And they're made from cornmeal. So these were, most of the fiber was removed to make these, right? So now you're getting a clear idea of what processed and unprocessed carbohydrates are. Another example of processed and unprocessed carbohydrates is juice and an apple. So let's say you have apple juice. It has definitely been processed from an actual apple, right? This has fiber, and all the fiber was removed to make this. So this is mainly just sugar. I mean, this has sugar too, right? But when you eat this, the fiber in this apple slows the digestion of the sugar into your bloodstream. And this has no fiber. So if you drink this, that sugar has no fiber to slow down the digestion, and it gets instantly absorbed into your bloodstream. This is when you start to have like blood sugar spikes, and you get like super hyper, right? And then like 30 minutes or an hour later, you crash and you're sleepy. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? And another example of processed and unprocessed carbohydrates is brown rice and white rice. So white rice was processed, and the outer portion of the rice was removed, and that's why it's white. And yes, brown rice does have more fiber than white rice, but brown rice actually has more arsenic than white rice because the arsenic is contained in the outer portion of the rice. So, as you may probably know, that arsenic is actually labeled as a carcinogen by the EPA. So this is why it's like so important to eat a balanced diet made up of various types of food. Because let's just say you want to be healthy and you only want to eat brown rice because it's high in fiber, right? And you don't eat any white rice, you just eat brown rice. Well, that arsenic is actually hurting you in the long run if you eat it a lot, okay? I don't want to make you afraid. I don't want you to be afraid of food. This is the whole point of this video. I want to eliminate that fear connotation associated with carbohydrates, okay? But I want you to decide for yourself. I don't want to tell you what to eat. I want you to decide what you want to eat. So yes, brown rice has more fiber than white rice, but brown rice also has more arsenic than white rice. So it's all about balance, okay? Don't eat too much brown rice, just switch it up. There are so many other grains to eat too. There's quinoa, there's millet, there's all sorts of stuff that you can eat. One more fact about processed and unprocessed carbohydrates is that processed carbohydrates are generally higher in calories. So I want you to think about pastries. I love these, okay? But it's all about balance, right? So these have more calories obviously than like an apple, right? So that's super easy. But you know what? You don't have to eliminate these from your diet. Just eat them in moderation, or whenever you're craving them, just like eat a little bit, right? And be mindful about it. Don't like eat it super fast and then like that really, if you eat sweets really fast, it's not gonna really quench your taste for sweets. But if you eat it slow and you savor it, your like sweet tooth is gonna get quenched so easily, okay? In conclusion, you can eat any kind of carbohydrate that you want, okay? Don't label food as good or bad, because that is gonna make you restrict your diet from those foods, and then that's gonna lead to binge eating, stress, and anxiety, and we do not want that, right? Lastly, athletes and people who exercise a lot are gonna need a lot more calories and a lot more calories from carbohydrates, okay? So if you are an athlete or something like that, it's really important that you go talk to a registered dietitian, and the registered dietitian can calculate how many nutrients and how many calories you need in your diet based on your exercise level, okay? I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please, if you have any questions, I would love to dive deeper into the questions that you have. Go ahead and leave a comment asking your question, and maybe like I explained it wrong, or I can go into further detail, like whatever you want. You can also follow me on Instagram and send me a direct message, and then we can talk more about it, and then I can get more video ideas so I can further answer your question, okay? Because if you have a question, odds are there's like a million people who have the same question, okay? So you're just helping everybody. But you guys have a blessed week. I love you guys so much. Bye.